Okay, so I hope everyone can hear me, and obviously Julie or Chuck, just let me know if you can't, if you're having any problem. Wanted to welcome everyone to a great webinar today, hosted by Earl Dudley and with collaboration with SenseFly. My name is Sam Pepple. I am with SenseFly. Really happy to talk to you today about some of the tight accuracies that you can achieve by using our drone technology. We have two guests today. A presenter named Chuck Snow, a very well-known individual in the industry who works for Earl Dudley. He is an expert on drone technology, and he will be giving you a live demo today, as well as a presentation. Lastly, we have John Downing of Littell Metrics, who is a power user. Littell Metrics uses drone technology and to great effect. And I'm gonna moderate an interview with him at the end. So hopefully we have about 30 minutes with Chuck and about 20 minutes with John. Feel free to put any questions that you have in the chat window, and we'll get back to you either if we have time during the broadcast or after the fact. We'll follow up by email. Of course, my email address is listed, so is Chuck and John, if you have any questions and you want to follow up with us. So I'm going to give you a quick little background on SenseFly. So, we were founded in 2009 in Lausanne, Switzerland. We have the #1 mapping drone in the world, fixed wing drone. We are the lightest in class, and over 125 million acres have been mapped thus far. Some of the big clients on the left that use our drone technology. When we say we're a global company, we have 180 countries where our drones have been sold, 200 points of sale, over 6,000 drones have been sold, and as I said, the great number of acres that have been mapped, and even a max altitude flown at 21,000 feet. We're on our 6th iteration of the drone. Starting on the left side, you have the swinglet cam, which was brought about in 2010, and then we evolved to the eBee, then the eBee with RTK, then the eBee SQ, which was an ag product, and the eBee Plus. Now, lastly, on the far right screen is the eBee-X, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. It's our most contemporary model with the most functionality and the longest flight time. With that, I'm gonna give it over to Chuck right now to go through his presentation, and I think this should be a real treat for you guys.
Good morning, guys. Julie or Sam or somebody, let me know if you can hear me, please, before I get started, just to make sure.
We can hear you loud and clear.
Great, thank you, Sam. Guys, it's Chuck Snow with Earl Dudley. Thank you so much for giving me a little bit of time today and attending. I've done over 1,000 flights with this technology, done a tremendous amount of testing. And every time we get an improvement, I like to go out and kind of check it out and see, indeed what the benefits do. Am I getting better data? We've always got good data, but with this system, we've got some phenomenal data out of it. And I've done a test, and that's kind of what I'm going to share with you guys today in the next few moments. So if you'll bear with me, I'd appreciate it. Thanks. One of the things, we all have, one of the things we got to think about when we're doing this, guys, is, what did I lose? There it is, to make sure your data is good, you got to have some kind of known point. Do you in fact know, or what have you done to make sure that that point is good? I've been with hundreds of customers, and lots and lots of times, probably 100 times at least, the information's been incorrect after we checked it. So you need to, when you start off, make sure your known point is, where you really think it is. So this is technology. We're talking about the eBee-X and the Area X camera. I want you to, this is one of the flights I did. This is just a test flight showing you some of the accuracies that we're getting. So camera position, we know it really well. We're going to talk more about that in just a few minutes. But as you can see, we're getting really good data out of Pix4D. That is the software that I'm using for this presentation for all the testing that I've done. So just wanted to show you that. We're going to move on. This flight, you can see these are, if y'all guys use Pix4D, this is, you know, errors of the uncertainty ellipses on camera positions for your images. What are those? This is magnified 1,000 times. While this data is good, this is not, we try to achieve a little bit better information than this. And you'll see some of that actually in just a moment. I've got another chart like this where we flew this again, which is this one right here. This is really what you want your stuff to look at. Again, this is magnified 1,000 times, guys. So this data on this flight was absolutely outstanding. So anyway, we're gonna move on. Here's my methodology. If I'm gonna run a test, you know, you've got to have some kind of control, right? Control over the test, not just your ground control put down, but you know, what's in the data. You know, is it hard surface? Is it soft surface? So I had lots of things here: trees, grass, dirt, pavement. I wanted all my control on hard surface, so I knew it, you know, as good as I could do about my X, Y's, and Z's. We used ground control for some of them. We used GPS, course data, PPK data. We did everything. I did 4 different flights to do what I did. And then I did an Excel spreadsheet that I'm going to share with you guys and show you what the deltas were. I looked at Z deltas. I didn't look at, you know, the X and Y really, because that usually is so close that it's really not a problem. We're always chasing, you know, the vertical accuracy. So it's kind of what I did. So the GPS I use for the eBee is the Septentrio. Most of you probably have not heard of this. I hadn't either until I used one. The reason that I like it a lot for flying with the eBees is it's very accurate, but it also supplies RTK information, and at the same time, it's logging static data. So it's very difficult to mess this up. I've had many customers because, you know, people don't log static anymore. I mean, you just don't most of the time. You don't really need to. But if you have an issue, if you run in this GPS and say you lost link for some reason or something happened, if you're pulling static information, you can always have survey grade information at the end by doing a PPK processing. That's one of the great things about the eBee. You can't, if you're running this thing, unless if it crashes, no. But if it's in there taking pictures, I can give you survey grade information at the end, and I can process it out that way. So that's why I really like this GPS. And I work for a company that sells GPS. We're a TopCon dealer. I don't use a TopCon for mine. I use the Septentrio because of how great it works with this technology. So this is my area of interest. As you can see, I've got all the things we talked about. I've got roads, lots of places to put control. And I'm going to show you a shot in a minute that shows you my control. And I've got grasses and trees and dirt and everything you'd want, you know, if you're running some kind of test to kind of see how it deals with all that stuff. These are a little shot that shows where all my control points are. So I have plenty of control to compare against out there. As you can see, all the blue circles, those are all the control that I can compare against. So I've got all those things to verify my data accuracy. Let's talk about point cloud accuracy. Point cloud accuracy, you know, it's the most precise way to check your post-processing output. You know, each point's defined by 3 coordinates, X, Y, and Z. There's an adjustment done called the bundle block adjustment inside of Pix4D. It applies color, which is really handy when you're doing any kind of analysis, or if you're trying to do some other classification work. It's just really an easy way to do it when you can see what's down there. So this is what we're doing in the Pix4D. We have done those things to run this test. Here's the chart that I guess most of you guys are going to be interested in. So what I have here is I got lots of control points. And what I've done is I actually ran this data and I used control points to lock it down. And my accuracy with the EBX and the Area X camera was 900s, okay? But my GCP delta was about 1500s average. So, you know, good data for sure, but not the best data. With my RTK, it was 900s as well. And that's checked on, as you can see, every target. The reason the GPS is not, because I got a GPS sitting here, so I can't run a shot on that because there's something sitting on top of the nail, and you can't see that. Well, you can see it, but you can't really get a really good accuracy because that's where my GPS was sitting. But based on all these targets, I'm 900s on my data on all those targets, so my average. If you use VRS, my VRS delta, 400s, 500s basically, so pretty across all those targets. If I ran it, and these were all separate flights, I did 4 flights total because I thought it would just make the data a little more, I guess, fair, if you will. My PPK delta was about 900s as well. I also did one other thing. If you guys are surveyors and you use this technology a lot, you know that GPS is not as accurate as the total station. So I didn't want to do it because, frankly, I just thought my GPS would be really far off compared to a total station. And I don't run a total station. So I had one of our guys that's very experienced with using this technology. He ran out and shot on my target. So my total station compared to my GPS shots, the vertical delta on that was 300. So I was pretty dang close. It made me feel pretty good. And then the UAV versus the total station was about 400. So anyway, that's pretty good data no matter which way you use. And I'll talk a little bit about, ground control points. We got this and we got this. This is the Z, this is the RMS. We're going to show a couple more charts on this, but what I have found through doing a lot of testing, whichever method that you use, is, if you put out, and that's a lot of control points, you put out a lot of control, there's always chance for error. If anybody has gone and shot a ground control point or gone back and shot one the next day, you get a little bit different, point depending on time of day, satellite configuration, that kind of thing. So, and then you have to mark all those. And if you're going to mark one of those ground control points 10 to 15 times, you get tired, really you get tired, especially if it's a large site. You got 100 acres or 200 acres. That's very difficult to mark those all correct. You just get tired of it. And it's difficult to mark them accurately. And if you want to really tie your data down good, you really need to do that. I have marked a ground control point 4 or 5 times and then not used the other 10 photos. And I've gone back and used, say, all 15 photos for every control point, and it made a tremendous difference in accuracy to do all that. But who wants to do that? And sometimes it's difficult to do that, especially if you're flying a corridor or the site's really large. That's just a lot of time spent. And if you want to increase productivity and have accurate data, RTK or PPK is a better way to do that, and the EBX will allow you to do those things. So anyway, this is ground control points checked inside of Pix4D on the ground control point flight. You see what I've got? I've got 300s, basically 900s and 900s, and this is me marking them, right? So again, it's just you just don't get as good as accuracy, doing the ground control points. I use them. I've done them hundreds of flights with them that way, and it's just a little more difficult for me. This is this absolute camera position and orientation uncertainties. We showed you a chart on this a while ago. This is pretty good, guys. One reason that I'm going to talk a little bit more about the camera as we move through the presentation we have 2 cameras for the eBee that have IMUs in them, the Area X and the SOTA 3D. So when you're doing photogrammetry, RTK is just one part of that equation. Okay, where am I in space? The other part, if you want really accurate data, is you need to know position and orientation of the sensor when it's taking that image. That's what an IMU does for you. What is the magnifier? What's the pitch rolling yaw on that sensor when it's taking that photograph? And when you introduce that and pull that in, that's where you'll see more accuracies. I have, over the summer, I called about probably 50 engineering firms that did not have an eBee, that were using or had some other UAV technology, and I just chatted with them and said, hey, I'm not here to sell you something. I want to ask you a little bit about using your UAV technology. What do you think? 95% of them were unhappy with the results they were getting with their unit, because I even had guys that say there's no way you can do that. You can't get that accuracy. So some of the reasoning for that is they never got trained. You know, they didn't know really how to use their technology really well. And that's part of it, because, you know, everybody, you know, you get these things, they basically, you know, a lot of it, they fly themselves. They're not that hard to fly. But it takes a little bit of skill and training, and we provide that. You know, we always train guys on how to use our technology, but that's part of it, guys, to know how to use it. But another thing is a lot of these technologies will not, you have to have good cameras. They don't have the technology inside to produce really accurate survey data all the time, day in and day out. And this technology has the ability to do that. So, and it's the eBee. I'll just show you a picture of it. That's what it is. Fixed wing. We can fly hundreds of acres on a single battery, you know, up to 800, I'd say, maybe 1,000. This is the SOTA 3D. It does have direct in-flight georeferencing, because there's an IMU there and there's an IMU in the other camera. So that allows you to have very, very accurate data when you're flying. So it's a 1-inch sensor, 20 megapixel. This actually would allow you to do some other things, you know, like do building sides and that kind of thing. As you can see, you got a lot of coverage down here in the middle of the screen, where it says you can do a lot of coverage right here with one battery. We got long range capabilities with this unit, and with certain, if you turn on your long range capabilities and get a long range battery, you can fly a lot. So this is what I'm talking about. By on the left, you'll see a standard direct nadir flight. On the right, you'll see the SOTA 3D that takes 3 photographs every time, one looking left, one looking right, and one looking straight down. And you can set that angle, left and right angle, to whatever you think is appropriate for the mission that you're on. So up to 45 degrees, from 0 to 45 degrees. So this is the other camera, which is if you want really good data, low light conditions. I use this one most of the time because it's absolutely phenomenal. The sensor is very large. You know, it's not just about the megapixels. You know, the sensor, that APS-C sensor, is very high quality. The quality of the sensor makes a big difference as well. And this camera, this is the only sensor that I've ever used for photogrammetry that I could measure the bottom of the curb and the top of the curb, you know, the flow line and the top of the curb in the data. You know, the one that I just showed, SOTA, I might get lucky and do that, but the Area X, the data is really good. And I'm going to show you some of the point cloud data in that in a few minutes, but it is really outstanding, even though it's only 24 megapixel. Because of what they've done with the technology and the camera, and the direct in-flight georeferencing, the data is absolutely outstanding in this. And this is the camera that I use for all the 4 flights for the test that we're talking about today. So just to provide a little bit more intelligence or understanding about direct georeferencing, it's the ability to directly geolocate sensor data from the air to the ground with respect to a reference coordinate system. DG at its core combines GNSS with inertial technology, the IMU, to produce a robust position and orientation solution. So it has advantages over PPK or RTK, which is position only. That's all it is where are you in the sky? So, you know, you can get good information there, but if you want the best information to try to get your data to be as good as you can, the direct georeferencing is a way to do that. Efficient photogrammetry requires the use of DD technology, since PPK only provides the position of the antenna phase center, which needs to be translated to the sensor origin. If the sensor is installed in a stabilized mount, which has now become the norm, the dynamic offset between the GNSS antenna and sensor origin need to be modeled as part of the photogrammetric solution. In the case of DG, the GPS solution from the antenna phase center is precisely translated to the sensor origin. Additionally, if the sensor is mounted on a stabilized mount, direct georeferencing properly allows measuring the position and orientation of the sensor, which gives you really, really good and accurate data. So this is a shot from the Area X. It does optimize exposure. You can fly real low light conditions with this. Super sharp data. It's rarely overexposed. Less noise is in this sensor as well because it's such high quality. Remember, guys, if you're flying, if it's not as sharp, because of photogrammetry is doing the trigonometry inside of Pix4D to match this up. The sharper your images are, there's other things obviously because of the GNSS and the direct georeferencing, but sharpness of imagery helps your accuracy as well. So anyway, that's part of it. Another image is from the Area X, really good high quality information. SOTA on the left, Area X on the right. You can easily see the difference. Still good imagery from the SOTA, but superior imagery from the Area X on the right hand side. That is just not 4 extra megapixels. That's clarity of lens and makeup of the sensor that makes a difference in what the quality, because you can see significant quality difference in that. So anyway, when you map the EBX is tough. A lot of people, think that, you got a problem with it landing and stuff. Like I said, I've used it extensively. I've done over 1,000 flights. I've mapped in high wind. I've got many guys in, like the next speaker, John Downing, uses it in dirt. I've got Corey guys that land in rocks all the time, and they're very robust. They're very tough. It's, you can crash into a wall or a rock or the side of a truck or something and maybe damage it. But I was a beta tester for this model, and I crashed it into the ground and to the asphalt, and I flew it, 2 minutes after that. So it's a very strong model, this new one, and it's modular. So it's only 4 pieces. You can take them apart and swap it out, and very quickly, for repairing that kind of thing. So, and the bottom, as you can see that big picture, the bottom is not even interchangeable anymore because it's so strong. So anyway, that's all I got, guys.
Thank you very much, Chuck.
Welcome.
If anyone has any questions, please put them in the chat window and we'll try to get to them at the end of the presentation. I'm going to switch back to myself as the presenter here. If everyone can see my screen. I don't know if earlier there was a little problem when I was giving the introduction, but I just wanted to let everyone know that all of our contact, information is here underneath, Chuck's there and John Downing, who will be talking next. So if you guys have any follow-up questions, please feel free to email any of us. One thing that I didn't do that I wanted to do before we started with John is to show a little video. I know everyone heard about all the great sort of technology inside of that bird, but I wanted to make sure that you saw a little bit more about how mission planning works and the autonomous nature of launch and landing. Okay, so hopefully everyone could hear that and see that as well. Sounds like you could from our other staff members on the call. From this point, I would love to introduce to you John Downing with Telemetrics. John and I are going to have a little bit of a conversation just about how the Telemetrics got into the drone technology game and some of the things he's learned along the way. So welcome, John.
Thank you, Sam.
Appreciate you being here. Can you tell me a little bit more about Littell Metrics and what your team and you do there?
Yeah. So what we do is we let me give you a little background. We started off as in the construction world. At the time, I worked for a large civil construction company, and we were doing a lot of hand topo to do our earthwork calculations and progress monitoring, and we had started using rovers, Topcon rovers, to do that, and then we switched to using like the machines that had GPS on them to do our topos. But it would still take, I mean, the average size of the project was 30 to 60 acres, and it would still take a day to get enough points to try to really capture and quantify the amount of dirt we were moving. And then they came out with the first eBee Plus, and we got excited, and we got one for in-house purposes, and immediately off the first demo, we knew it was something that was a game changer for us, just with the time and just overall process was just fast. We could get same day results, print out cut fill sheets on site, analyze our stuff better, and now that's morphed into us starting this company, which we are now a full service engineering company. We engineer for several national home builders. We also do a lot of photogrammetry for their volume calculations, as well as LiDAR, and we do GPS modeling from machine control, and we also do solar panel inspection. So we've got our hands in a little bit of everything now.
Great.
Yeah.
So that's great, John. Can you tell me a little bit more about your reservations or skepticism surrounding drone technology, with regard to accuracy before you dipped your toes in?
Yeah. So we tried to make an intelligent decision. We had looked at other platforms, and being that it was new, we weren't comfortable with it. Something flying around in the air, how could it, just our brains couldn't fathom how it could be accurate. And there was, like I said, there were several other platforms for us to choose from. And we did a few demos with a few different people, and it just didn't have the feel we wanted. And then actually Chuck came and did our first demo for us with the eBee Plus RTK. And at that time he was connected to a VRS, which only improved the accuracy. And on that specific job, we were able to find, we had just started that job, just broke ground, all the clearing was done. At that time, we found a bust in the job. It was estimated off of GIS data in engineering, and we immediately found a 2-foot bust, which affected the quantity of the dirt we were going to move by a couple $100,000. So once he showed us that and everybody got to verifying it, it was a no-brainer at that point. And then it became standard practice every week on every job. So we were catching so many mistakes, survey mistakes. I mean, all we knew before was when a surveyor set control points for us, that was the gospel. That's what the surveyor set. But it wasn't always right. Just because they said it was right didn't mean that the job site was vertically where it needed to be. It helps catch those kind of inconsistencies as well. And so, I mean, it's been a great tool for checking from our localization to, you know, just the overall volume of the job site. So
Yeah.
we feel good about the decision we made to go with the eBee, and since then we've bought every drone y'all have come out with since, and all the sensors to go with it.
Great. You touched a little on hundreds of thousands of dollars in dirt on that the first demo. Do you
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about ROI that you're seeing for yourself and your clients, typical savings?
Yeah. So, and I wasn't sure at first if it was isolated to Georgia, but because of our elevation swings in job sites, the natural topo of the jobs can range from 25 feet to 200 feet in one job site. So once I started going out and showing other companies basically how I got this business off the ground was going to a job site saying, hey, if I can find you a change order, I won't charge you, but if I can find you a change order, this is what I want for it. And, they were already awestruck by the drone to start with. So it wasn't a hard sell, but once they really saw the data and then they checked it, I mean, the average savings, I would say minimum savings on an average job site would at least be $50,000 in excess dirt that would need to be moved. It just, there's never been a job where it was perfect according to what the site developer bid versus what the reality of it was. So I mean, I would say a minimum, we purchased it, we offered it, but our customers at minimum save, $30,000 to $50,000 right off the bat on moving dirt, and it allows them to adjust their job sites, just as soon as the trees go down. So it's really early on. It's caught early. It's not, the old way was wait. As you're going through the job, you're kind of calculating, and then you end up with 30,000 yards of dirt extra, and you don't know what to do with it, and everybody's scratching their head. So for us, it's had a great return just from the services we've been able to provide. But for our customers, they saw the most benefit of it. And a lot of them have started to adopt an in-house drone policy now over the years, but there's still a large majority of contractors throughout the country that haven't. And so that's still our biggest selling point is, let us show you how we can save you money, show you how you can get a change order. Or if we're working for a developer, let's show you how you can save money and, spare yourself the trouble of having a change order and doing a redesign on the front end. And that way, you can both sides of it can get benefits, whether you're a developer, whether you're earth mover, you know, there's a large return of investment.
Excellent. Yeah. No, that sounds really good. Chuck spoke a lot about some accuracy validation work he did. I think you told me something about recently you were up in Ohio doing some validation on your accuracies. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we had a developer, a home developer in Ohio, and they had some pretty significant topo change on their job, and you know they hired us to go out there and verify what was there. We did, but when they saw the results, they didn't believe it. The contractor had told the developer that he had finished, he'd done everything, you know, per plan, blah blah blah, and you know he couldn't believe there was still that amount of there's probably about 20,000 yards of dirt that wasn't moved correctly. I don't know I don't know why or how, but you know they sent a surveyor out there just to double check us, and this was early on in our relationship with this developer, and this was probably the 5th job we had did for them. And so once they checked it, they out of the 60 shots, the furthest we were out, I think, was 700. So once they saw that, I mean, even the surveyor was like, there's, they couldn't have shot that many shots that fast and produce results. And since then, we actually, for that one developer, we have 6 states we provide that service to in all phases of development. So it's, I'm glad they went and double checked us, because in 60 shots, you would assume you'd be off more than that. But that wasn't the case. So, we felt good about it. And they even asked prior to it, how confident are you in your data? And I said 100%. We had been doing this everywhere else, and my confidence level had went way up from when Chuck first did that first demo, and it's just proven its results time and time again. So
Yeah.
Now there's no question about it. I mean, even you can't argue with it. I mean, if it's not in a state plane coordinate system and there's something arbitrary to tie down to, and it's all relative at that point, there's still, I mean, we even set ground control targets for them to verify, just because it still just blows people's minds that have never used a drone, have never seen it. They've heard about it. A lot of them have heard of using the DJI, which is the one thing we've tried to steer clear of, is because everybody got DJIs for Christmas for the past 5 years, and we wanted something different. We wanted to stand out as far as professional grade, not a Phantom 4. This is a legit fixed wing. We can do, massive sites in one day and still get your data the same day. So it's been great for us.
Absolutely. 2 questions to follow up from that. On the ground control that you were talking about, I mean, Chuck mentions the GNSS RTK technology on board, plus the direct georeferencing. Do you still use ground control for actually tying the model down for tighter accuracy, or is it just for validation purposes?
So it's a customer. We don't feel personally we have to, but if anything comes into question, we need to provide it. And so it's become part of our standard practice to go ahead and we use a GPS rover connected to a VRS Topcon network, and we'll set control anyways, and it's usually about 5 or 1 target for every 20 acres, and that's just more for backup, or the customer's just comfort level. But we do set it. If they want it tied down to it, we'll tie down to it. After we run, we'll run step 1 in Pix 4D and then re-optimize everything. But it's always so spot on, even when you go to start, if technically post-processing, all your targets are already in line. So it's, you can zoom through 20 pictures on one target in just a minute because they're already in the correct, location. So it's up to the customer. I mean, we do it because they ask us to do it. Is it necessary? No. I would advise doing it just to make sure you have something to fall back on if someone does decide to go with the eBee. I mean, it's really the only way someone can check you, other than giving them just spot shots here and there. But dirt moves, with or shrinks and swells, and it may throw you off. So it's up to the customer.
Yeah.
But we found with the VRS, I have 100% confidence that we're still going to get, 10th or less accuracy without ground control. And so if customers down here are paying us to do progress monitoring, obviously we're not going to set targets every single time. It would take forever if they're paying us to do 5 a day. We'll go out and fly it. The data always lines up, always looks similar. We provide them with it. We do all the editing ourselves in-house, because there is editing to do after the fact, especially with trees. You'll have spikes, and one of the things I do want to mention is one of the contractors we did a lot for. They were coming off of a Kespre subscription, and also using arrow points as their method of tying down, I guess. But what those platforms don't do is edit out things. They'll give them a deliverable, but there'll be 30 foot of cut in the middle of the job for no reason, and that's going into their volume calculation. They don't, you gotta go in and edit that stuff out, which I've noticed on several platforms. Kespre just popped into my mind, but it being one of the ones where it's great to use propeller and have those ground controls out, but the deliverable it's not accurate because it hasn't been edited.
Yeah.
So I would keep that in mind if anyone's looking to purchase the drone, that there's other software and things that you can do a lot of it in Pix 4D, but we use some others.
Yeah. Do you mind talking?
Just keep that in mind.
Do you mind talking a little bit about the stack of software you use from processing to analyzing?
Yeah, so we have a variety of things we use. If it's earthwork calculation, we specifically use AgTech, and that comes from my background in earthwork and as a civil estimator. Is AgTech is the standard for dirt movers. They've developed their software now where you can load the ortho into the program, import the points, and it's as easy as just drawing a circle around a truck, editing out the tree line. So on for dirt moving, that's our standard. For you know, processing, obviously we use Pix4D. We let it do everything. We usually run a 50 centimeter grid. It's tighter than most people do, but you know, we also have more risk than if we were just doing it for ourselves. So, you know, we have to be 100% sure on it. Pix4D for processing. Contouring, we'll either use AgTech or Virtual Surveyor does a great job. A lot of times if we have to have a deliverable that a surveyor is going to double check, we'll use Virtual Surveyor as our platform because it's very easy to use. It's import, you know, your ortho and, you know, your data, and you can even drop the CAD file design in there too, and all the polylines are elevated. It's a beautiful platform if you're trying to show someone something in 3D. And then obviously for engineering, we export a Revit CSV file, so it's usable in AutoCAD. And when it comes to engineering, we contour in CAD because a lot of programs aren't, even though they say they're CAD friendly, they're not CAD friendly. A lot of the data outputs, you know, just because it's a DWG doesn't mean it's a surface. It's just contours, it's, you know, 3D polylines.
Cool. Well,
that's basically, that's most of ours. We've used what is it? Blue Marble. Can't remember the exact name of it. It was too difficult. Trimble Business Center was really difficult. As far as, I mean, there's a lot of add-ons you got to have to do the things you need to do. So you know, we scrapped Trimble Business Center. We scrapped Carlson software, and we just, you know, the easiest thing to use is for us is AgTech or Virtual Surveyor.
nice. I have one question more, and then I thought we'd go over to Chuck to have him quickly show a little bit of a point cloud and walk around Pix4D for a second, just because we forgot to do that. But if you could just give me a little sense of, I mean, you're using drone technology for more than just what you've talked about today. What other industries are you using your drone technology, and what problems are you solving?
This past year was probably our biggest step out of the earthwork realm, and in solar has been a big solar wind turbine inspection, but solar definitely has been probably our fastest growing market, and they're so large. I mean, you know, the smallest one is 500 acres, you know, and there's just nothing that can collect the data as fast as the eBee can. You know, I've heard other people talk about other drones, you know, that do vertical takeoff. I just, you know, you can't take those apart. You can't replace certain pieces on the fly. You don't have a day to wait to get a return. I mean, the eBee, the good thing about the eBee in solar is if on the landing we, you know, hit a rock, clip a wing, break a wing, something, this or that, pitot tubes clogged up, all that can be fixed on the fly, and we're back up in the air. But solar is probably the fastest growing field, and we've been blessed enough for a few companies that provide software analysis of that data, and we use the Duet T for that, and it's been really, that's the future, really. I mean, we've tried to adapt. We had an agronomist on staff for a while, and we tried to break into the agriculture industry. It's a lot harder. from a money making perspective, but for a farmer, or for the end user, it would be a lot easier if they just purchased their own and did it themselves, because from a profit standpoint, there's no money in that industry.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Downing. I think we do have a question box. If anyone has any follow-up questions for him or for Chuck, I'm gonna bring it over to Chuck right now so that he can show a little bit more of the data really quickly, and then we'll answer a few questions if you guys have them at the end. Take it away, Chuck.
All right, guys, this is a demo I did for some dirt movers north in my state. I know it looks like a photograph, but it is in fact. Well, let me make my points a little bit larger to make the audience a little easier for you guys to see these. This is the area X, and this is why I love this. I love this sensor, because the data. Just to show you guys some stuff. I know y'all have seen it, but this stuff to me is just phenomenal. The things it can do. So, and I'm gonna do a volume in here while I'm here, but just the things it can do in here, I'm getting an incredible model of what the terrain is right now. So if you want to do your dirt takeoffs, you can. I'm gonna go back vertical. I've got some piles here. There's a couple of things. Now, I don't know the level of experience of everybody using it, but if we our average elevation out there is about 750, 760 above sea level. So if you wanted to, like, say if you were making this flat to put something out here and you wanted to take it to some elevation, Pix4D can tell you exactly how much dirt you got to move. I'm just going to click around this one pile right here and just do a quick dirt. I'll do the one that's a little bigger. It actually doesn't matter. But if I want to do a volume here, it's got a little volume button over on the left-hand side. So I can just click that, and it's not coming up. Probably because I'm running over the internet.
Hey, Chuck.
Yeah.
Hey, Chuck, I just want to mention while you're pointing that out, one thing I've been able to help customers with is say there was an outlet control structure on that job site.
Oh, yeah.
Which would be in a pond. For every one of those images, if you would have clicked on that point, there's 5 to 20 pictures that validate that, just so everybody knows that it's, you're more than just a point cloud. There is verification in the pictures.
Yes, you can check all that stuff. Thanks, John. My volume is not popping up for some reason. New pics, we're on a webinar, those kind of things happens, but it's just not popping up, so I have no idea why. So anyway, but I will look at something just to kind of show you some verification of data. This is when I go out and do something for somebody, I always put down some control. Notice control, as you guys as we watch this knows, it's these little blue circles. I only have that one. I got nothing on site. I've done this so much that I feel pretty confident. You guys can see my chevron right here. Okay, if I click here, you can see the chevron over here on the right hand side. So I can, if I go to here, and I go to Ray Cloud Editor, it will show you the elevation is 766.971. So on the bottom right, and I don't know if you can see this or not, as I move my cursor, you see X, Y, and Z change. But if I pick a dot right, basically on my target, I'm at 766.94, so I'm 300ths from what my target was. So the one, again, I have a, it is dirt, but it's right there by the target. I am really on the money. I mean, that one right there, that point right there that's creating the software that I've made big so you can see them is 766.96. So that's 100th off. I mean, the data is outstanding. I'm still going to try to do this volume thing if it will let me. I do have no idea why that didn't work. So I'm gonna hit volumes again. And again, it's not pulling up for whatever reason. I haven't done one in the new software, so maybe there's something else going on. Don't know, guys. I apologize. It's not letting me do one. So it's just
No
not.
problem, sir. No
Yeah, I
problem.
apologize, guys. I have no idea why it's not pulling up. So it'll
Well,
do.
I want to make sure that everyone on the call knows that you know, Chuck Snow is your guy to call, to email here. I'm going to put up his contact again. If you guys would like a demo in the software, in the hardware, I know I showed you that video and he kind of walked through some of the stuff in the software, but we would love to chat with you. So he will be the one following up after this. And if you guys have any questions, please reach out to csnow@earldudley.com, myself, Sam Peppel, or John Downing. Really appreciate everyone's time today. And I think we're going to end it with that. So thank you guys very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.